Nighttime is really the most vulnerable period for us because we're just not awake to deal with whatever's going on with our ostomy. Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today, and today I have my swimsuit on very early because we are heading to the beach in a little bit. Actually not for like 4 hours, but of course I'm excited, so I'm already ready to go basically. But before we head out, I wanted to make a video on the topic of managing your ostomy overnight. Nighttime is really the most vulnerable period for us because we're just not awake to deal with whatever's going on with our ostomy. It could be blowing up, it could be leaking, and we are just unaware because obviously you're trying to get a good night's sleep. I think that this is probably a lot more frustrating early on than it is later into having an ostomy. At least that's my experience. I know that I dealt with way more issues overnight early on than I do now. I rarely have a leak at night. It is something that you adapt to, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but I thought it might be helpful to go over some tips, some things that might help you adjust overnight and hopefully help you avoid any leaks or bad situations. I know it is a really frustrating time because you feel like you have to rely on others to help you overnight, or you're trying to trust this new medical device that you simply do not trust yet. I remember the feeling. I remember waking up in bed covered with my ostomy output because my bag leaked and I didn't wake up to it, and that happened on many occasions. So I know it is just a really frustrating period, but it does improve, it does get better. Okay, so let's talk about things that we can do ahead of time, you know, a little bit before you decide it's bedtime. The first thing, and I use this tip for many different subjects related to dealing with an ostomy, but knowing your stoma's schedule. This is something that's going to take time to learn, but it really helps you manage throughout the day and night. So for myself, I have learned over the years that when I eat, almost immediately my stoma becomes active. You know, I think the juices are churning and stuff is moving, and then it slows down for a few hours, and then it picks back up because the food that I ate a few hours ago is finally making its escape. So I use this when it's time for me to go to bed. Now for myself, we eat later. We have dinner later. It's what we do. It's usually at least 7:30, 8 p.m. by the time we actually eat. A lot of people will suggest not eating that late, especially if you're going to bed maybe around 10, but it actually works out pretty well for myself because I know how my stoma is going to react in most cases. So if I eat at 8 p.m. and my bedtime is going to be 10 p.m., I know that I have a couple hours for my ostomy to get going and start to calm down again. Now, it doesn't always work out. That it isn't a perfect system, but for the most part, that works out for me. And then overnight, I usually have a number of hours where my stoma is calm because the food's moving through my intestines, and eventually by morning, my bag's usually full and ready to be emptied. If you're still trying to figure this out, you know, what your stoma's doing, what its schedule is, you really might want to stop eating and drinking a few hours before you want to go to bed. That way you have time to monitor it, make sure it's completely empty before heading to bed, and hopefully you'll be good. I just need to cut in really quick. If you see flies in the background, please try to ignore them. I'm going crazy with the flies that are in our house right now and I can't get rid of them. Okay. Another thing that you'll start to do automatically is learn the foods that cause you symptoms. Okay, when it comes to foods and drinks, whatever, at least for me, I know that there are foods that increase my symptoms, increase my ostomy output, make it more watery. Do I avoid them completely? No. There are some things that you just deal with because you want to enjoy life and you want to eat them. But I know for myself there are foods like salmon or other fish that tend to rev up my ostomy, make the output more watery, and it lasts a bit longer. So I really plan my last meal of the day the most. If I'm eating something that I know is going to increase my output, I will eat something along with it that I know slows my output. So every time we have salmon, we always have a sweet potato. That's what I have found as my solution for it. I find foods that will either slow it down, or that meal happens a lot more earlier than a typical meal would. That way I have time for my ostomy to really get going and hopefully slow down by the time I want to go to sleep. If you are really struggling with your ostomy output just waking you up in the middle of the night, you're finding that you have to empty multiple times, you may want to talk to your doctor about medications. There are medications that help slow ostomies. I myself have been on over-the-counter meds as well as prescription meds for this. So a few of them is loperamide, which is just Imodium. But obviously any of these medications, talk to your doctor, whether or not they're over-the-counter. Obviously prescription you're going to get through your doctor, but talk to your doctor if they're appropriate for you. For myself, loperamide works really well as long as my intestines, my GI tract is normal. I had an extended period where my ostomy output was just very watery, and loperamide basically did nothing for it. But when things are regular and everything is good, loperamide has been a really great way for me to slow things down. Like, I'm gonna take it in a couple of hours to help go to the beach and not have to empty multiple times. Something like that can really help you overnight because you're not emptying as frequently. Things are moving slower through you. Another medication is Lomotil. I've been on that as well. It does, at least for me, made me kind of tired. There's also tincture of opium, same thing. All things you can talk to your doctor about and see what might be a good option for you. Typically, they'll start you on loperamide. And then a couple of things that you can do just with the mindset of preparing for the worst. Get a mattress cover. Now, I know when some people hear mattress cover, they're thinking of like a plastic, sweaty mattress cover. They have improved those things quite a bit, I must say. Like, they are so much better than they used to be. And we have mattress covers on all of our beds. I think it's just a good thing to protect your mattress and keep it clean and new. And I really have one more for the dogs than I do for me at this point in time, because I don't have many leaks overnight, but it's a good way just to protect your mattress just in case. Also, early on, something you may want to do is put like a chuck underneath of you. They probably did that in the hospital. You probably had, it looked like a blue pad underneath of you. If you are not wanting to buy chucks, because I believe they're fairly expensive and you throw them out when you're done using it, getting a waterproof doggy pad is fantastic. It's a great way to just, throw it in the wash if you need to. We have a couple, not for me, but after buying them for my dogs, I realized this would be comfortable in bed and waterproof. And should anything happen, should you have a major leak, your bed's protected, which is really nice, especially early on when you're in that vulnerable period and you wake up to this awful leak, having to change your clothing, change your ostomy bag, and then have to change all of your sheets and stuff. This can help cut down a little bit on that. And one other thing that I found really useful, and I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, it depends on how you sleep, okay? But wearing clothing to bed has helped me before, and I know it may seem a little gross when you think about it, but what I have done is worn non-restrictive clothing. You don't want anything pressing down on your ostomy because that can create pressure and make it easier to leak or to pop off if you've got a two-piece going on. But should you have a leak and say you're wearing a t-shirt or a sweatshirt to bed, it's likely covering and containing most of it. That has been my experience and it has been helpful. Obviously, it's not a great feeling, but when you wake up and it's contained within your shirt or your shorts or whatever, it's a lot easier than, like, I don't know, I just think waking up Zach saying, oh God, I have to change the whole bed. It's easier just to run out to the bathroom, shower myself off, change my clothes and get back to bed. So just an idea for you. Now let's get into your actual ostomy, some things that you can do to prevent issues or look out for, really. The first thing is going to be notice any lifting or itchiness. If you have any itchiness around your stoma, it's likely that a leak has already started. Do not ignore itchiness because it will lead to further skin breakdown, and then your ostomy won't stick as well the next time around. Anytime I feel itchiness, I automatically change my ostomy. Another thing is the lifting feeling, which takes a while to recognize. What you can do if you're not sure if it's lifting off of your skin is to press your ostomy back down onto you, like press it on pretty good, and then just tug at the edges to see if you feel anything peeling off of your skin. If you feel that, it's gonna leak soon. Another thing that you can do is make sure your ostomy has a filter. A filter allows the gas to escape without the output escaping in most cases, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you have a filter, this can help that gas go out, and that's one of the issues that I have. More than having too much output overnight, it's really gas buildup. That's when it blows up and then it feels like it's lifting off of my skin and it's gonna pop. That's really where I struggle. But I'm gonna tell you the reason I don't like filters. There are only a few brands out there that have successfully done a filter, and even then, I don't think anybody has really gotten the filter down because they don't work after a day or two. They really just aren't that effective, and some brands have the issue that they leak. They leak out of the filter, which just bugs me. I actually, on the bags that I use now, I will glue the filter shut because it has a leaking issue from the filter. And you get little spots on your clothing. I don't want that. That makes me feel gross. I would rather wake up in the middle of the night to empty my ostomy than deal with a filter that might be leaking on my clothes. Try out different brands. It's what I always say. Try out different brands to see what you like. Don't feel like you're glued to one thing. And you'll find, what works for you might not work for others. So do what you gotta do to feel the most comfortable with your ostomy. Something that really helped me early on was choosing a flange or a wafer with a fabric border. I think I had Hollister for a while that had that fabric border. Now I use the Convatec moldable one that has the fabric border, or it's called tape sometimes, like a tape collar. That's really helpful. It's kind of a window into you're leaking, but you have like a little bit of time. So I found it really useful. I would be in school or wherever. I'd have that fabric border. I'd start to leak, and I would be able to see the leak before it reached the outside. I would see that fabric border would get saturated with my output, and I would know I'm leaking, but at least I have a few minutes to deal with this. This might be helpful at night. Gives you like a little extra time. If you are leaking and you don't wake up, just an idea for you. Also, I think this might be a no-brainer. I don't know. Double check to make sure that the end of your ostomy pouch, if you use a drainable, make sure that it's clipped shut or Velcroed completely shut. Make sure it's secure, because I have personally dealt with issues overnight because of that. And then something else, if you're using a two-piece, actually I think they do this with one-pieces too. I don't use it, so that's why my experience with it is low. But you may want to use an ostomy belt because it holds the bag to you. If you're using a two-piece system, usually the belt connects to the bag portion, like the ring of the bag, not the ring on the flange. So it holds it against your flange, against your skin. I don't like belts. I think they're uncomfortable. I don't like the look of them. I think less is more when it comes to ostomy care, but a lot of people really love using a belt overnight because it just gives them that security that, my bag is not going to come detached from either my skin or my flange. I think it's really important to remember leaks are going to happen with an ostomy. You, at some point, if you haven't yet and you're fairly early on, you're gonna have a leak of some sort, and I know that it's really difficult to deal with that, especially if you've got someone else in bed with you and you're experiencing that leak, I'm very grateful that I went through all this when I was 16 and I had my dad who helped me through all of it, never made me feel embarrassed about it. But it just really is soul crushing when you wake up completely covered. It's just awful, but it's likely to happen, okay? So get on board with that, and having these early leaks is not always a bad thing. Let me tell you why. Okay, my early leaks, because I had so many leaks early on, day and night, they happened so frequently because I really hadn't gotten my routine down. I was still learning how to do ostomy care, but also I just hadn't found the products that really worked for me. So I would experience these leaks and I started to learn what they felt like. That's how I started to realize that if I've got that itchiness, it's a very particular itchiness in a very particular location. If I feel that, or I feel that lifting, okay, something's probably gonna happen. And the other thing that it taught me is all those leaks that I had overnight, you really adapt, okay? When I say you adapt, there's some subconscious level that you begin to build. And this is what happened to me. I had these leaks. I started to feel, the moisture around my ostomy. Maybe it was dripping down my side. And anytime that I feel this, I wake up. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a leak where I feel the dripping down my side and I caught it before it ever hit the bed. And I'm like, that's some sort of superpower that I just know. Same thing when my bag is filling. I somehow automatically know. It's like the tugging on my skin that I feel, or the little bit of lifting if it really fills with gas. It wakes me up. It wakes me up. And the other thing that happens is if it starts to fill up, I use a 2-piece bag and I get really worried that if it fills up and I'm lying on my side or something, or laying on my back, that the bag is going to go over the edge and pull off because it's heavy. And somehow in my sleep, I know that if my bag is filling, it's not completely full, and I want to keep sleeping, I will turn myself onto my right side. So my ostomy bag is resting on the bed rather than being pulled from gravity and just it being heavy. So it's really interesting how you adapt. You'll find yourself just automatically doing things over time as your body learns, oh, you should probably wake up. Like, there's moisture, that's not good. Let's wake up now before things get worse. It is really cool what our minds and our bodies can do. So those are my tips. Those are the things that I've learned, and I'm grateful. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna have a leak tonight. You watch. But I'm grateful. As of right now, I don't think I've had a leak overnight in probably a couple of years. I don't remember the last time, and if I had it, I rarely leak on the bed. Like, I wake up and I change, and it's just, I don't know, I figure it out somehow. But let me know if you have any other tips for managing your ostomy overnight. I know we all have different experiences and different things that we've learned, so please, I would love if you provided them in the comments below for anybody who might be looking for those tips. And thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are looking for a way to help support my channel, consider liking this video or even subscribing. You can also check out my store at LetsTalkIBD.shop. I have stickers and hoodies like these guys over here, just related to chronic illness and inflammatory bowel disease, something fun. And I also have a coupon code for my YouTube watchers. You could also become a member of my channel, like the wonderful people scrolling on screen here. They've become a member and they have access to videos a little bit earlier. It's a great way to support my channel, and really, just watching my videos means the world. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next.